It's a Chinese series adapted from an old fantasy book. It is the birthday of the emperor's beloved concubine. Every officer arrives early at the royal palace to celebrate except Wang. He explains that he was late because he has been preparing a special gift all day long. He presents his gift, which is a dazzling painting of fireworks. He asks all the lights inside the palace to be turned out. To everyone's surprise, the fireworks set off in the painting. The emperor is very impressed by his talent. He bestows a great mansion upon him. When they move in, Chawai, Wang's wife, feels something's wrong with this house. She sets up a study room for Wang so that he can spend more time with her instead of going to his painting studio in the woods. But Wang still prefers the tranquil ambience of the plum blossoms. He comforts his wife that he values her the most, and he hopes she understands his choice. In Wang's mansion, the maid of Chawai, Xian, accidentally hurts her hands when handing the tea to Wang. Wang holds her hand to see if she's okay. At this exact moment, his wife walks in and notices something fishy about them. She comes up with a plan to fire the maid with a decent reason. The next day, she claims her expensive hairpin was lost and she is certain that it must be the work of a thief within the household. She asks the other maids to check the room of Xian, and they find the lost hairpin, which was actually put there by Chawai. Xian feels wronged by the false accusations, but she cannot defend herself since the hairpin was found in her room. That night, she committed suicide by jumping into the well in the yard. Chawai is shocked and deeply in self-blame. She just wanted her husband not to be distracted by any other women. She never intended to hurt anyone. Seeing Chawai feeling sad and guilty, Wang comforts her that it's in fact a plan of her maid to make her feel bad about herself. Since the death of Xian, there have been more and more strange things in the mansion. Sometimes, the barrel for carrying water once lowered in the well cannot be lifted again. Sometimes, they find women's nails and hairs in the barrel. When Chawai comes to check the well, a woman's face appears in the well. Chawai is getting more and more scared every day. She sees a ghost face in the mirror. She sees blood in the foot bath. Chawai wants to move out, but Wang doesn't. He thinks all the bizarre things are her imaginations. After all, this is their first house. Before this, they've been living in the mansion of Chawai's father, who is in a high position of the Royal Academy. Wang confirms to her that there are no ghosts in the world. Even if there are, as long as she is not afraid of ghosts, the ghosts cannot hurt her. One day, Wang's brother-in-law asks if he can draw the most beautiful girl in the world on a piece of special paper. The paper is in fact made of human skin, lush and smooth. He has the fantasy of touching the real beauty when he touches the painting. Wang agrees and he starts drawing with the inspiration of a beauty in his mind. A few days later, his brother-in-law comes to take the painting, but Wang lies that he hasn't finished it yet. Chawai is about to clean the study, but she can't open the door. There seems to be someone inside holding against it. She gives up entering, but in the afternoon, Wang enters without difficulty. He receives a new task of drawing the princess, who will soon leave to marry a king in another country. The princess quite posing in the middle of drawing simply because she was annoyed by people watching her. Wang finishes the portrait anyway later that day. The princess is very impressed that Wang remembers her looks after seeing her only twice. Chawai finds the portrait of beauty in Wang's study. When she looks closely, the girl in the portrait winks and smirks at her. She calms herself down and brings the portrait to her brother. Her brother is very satisfied with this piece of art. He drinks that night and talks to the portrait about how fond he is of her. When he becomes drunk, the girl from the hanging portrait walks down and drinks with him. The next morning, he wakes up, only to find out that the beauty from the painting disappeared. Later at night, Wang is on his way back home. His horse suddenly stops out of fear. There is a woman crying at the corner of the street. The woman looks up and it turns out to be the girl from the portrait. Wang is so shocked. He hurries back home in fright. Wang's brother-in-law invites Wang to watch an opera show. One of the actresses looks exactly like the girl in the drawing. Wang sneaks into the backstage to find out who she really is. Before he approaches, the actress casts a spell to drown him. Wang wakes up thinking that it was just a dream. The girl suddenly begs him to help her get out of this troupe, because she will be sold to marry a random guy soon. Wang agrees and brings her to his studio in the woods. The girl says her name is Mei. Her parents died when she was 8 and then she was sold to that opera troupe. Wang is touched by her story and attracted by her appearance. They end up sleeping together that night. The next day, when he returns home, he explains to his wife the reason why he's late home is that he slept through when watching the opera. In fact, the girl from the portrait and Mei are the same person. They are Wang's ex-girlfriend, Lady Mei. Back in the days, Lady Mei was the most popular geisha. Wang, on the other hand, was a poor student. He borrowed several silver dollars to pay to see her. Lady Mei said the painting of plum blossoms was her favorite artwork. Even though this painting was sold in a cheap market, she found the painter talented and underestimated. The plum blossoms are blooming even amidst the winter snow. They represent elegance and resilience. Wang was grateful for her appreciation because he was the painter of this work. He had the misery of making a decent living even though he was very talented. They appreciated each other and fell in love. When Wang left for the capital to take the exam, he promised Lady Mei that he would marry her once he passed the exam. The exam is held once a year. It is the only way to rise to a position of prominence in the government. Lady Mei sold her jewelry to afford his travel expenses. But unluckily, Wang was robbed when he just arrived in the capital city. Unexpectedly, Lady Mei came to the capital with a baby. She got pregnant before he left and because of this, she was kicked out of the geisha house. However, Wang asked her to leave him alone and go back to her life in the geisha house. He even gave the baby to other people without telling Lady Mei. Lady Mei was deeply hurt, and she knew why he did this. She saw Wang was flirting with a rich girl whose father is holding a high position in the Royal Academy. She knew Wang would do anything to reach the success he yearned for. While they were arguing, Wang accidentally pushed Lady Mei onto a pillar. Seeing her blacked out, Wang set fire to burn her alive. The next day, Wang went to see the rich girl Chawai and told her that he was homeless now since his house was burnt accidentally. Lady Mei turned into a ghost and she came to take revenge. She tried many times to kill Wang, but she hesitated each time out of love. Mei believes that Wang still loves her. Wang was assigned a new task of drawing a Buddha. Wang takes this as an excuse to spend more time in the studio. One day, Chawai comes to visit him. She sees Mei and she notices it's the girl from the painting. Then she follows to find out who she is. She keeps following until she reaches a cliff. Mei is about to push her down, but Wang happens to arrive in time. Wang goes to a temple to bring good luck to her pregnant wife. On his way, he encounters a Taoist who gives him a warning that he is surrounded by evil spirits and his death is approaching. Wang starts to be suspicious about Mei. He secretly follows Mei and sees her stripping off her face. Her skin is actually the painted paper on which Wang drew. Seeing the burn scars on her face, Wang realizes that Mei is the ghost of his dead girlfriend. He runs to the Taoist for help. The Taoist gives him 2 pieces of holy paper with spells, one to stick on the door and the other on himself. With this, Mei couldn't get close to Wang. Mei is now determined to kill Wang since he does not regret what he did to her. Mei knows Wang's brother-in-law always feels for her. She tells him that in order for her to become alive, he needs to bring the portrait of her to Wang's mansion. By doing this, she can get inside Wang's place for her plan of revenge. Mei tries to drown Chawai when she's taking a bath. Luckily Wang arrives in time to stop it. Chawai asks him who the girl really is. Wang lies to her that Mei was a prostitute who kept harassing him after their one-night stand, and then she committed suicide after being refused by Wang. Chawai believes his story until Mei shows up and tells her the truth. Mei pretends to be Chawai to prepare the bath for Wang. Wang takes off the holy paper to get in. Mei confronts him and tries to kill him again. But Wang keeps saying that he loves her only and Chawai is just a stepping stone so that he can provide a better life for Mei. Again, Mei believes him. When Chawai comes to question Wang, Wang yells at her that he will stay with Mei forever while winking at her. Chawai understands that Wang is distracting Mei and is asking for help. She comes back with some dessert and drinks, claiming that she just comes to have a proper goodbye. Wang finds the paper inside the dessert with information on how to tackle Mei. He splashes the drinks onto Mei, which is in fact holy water with spells, and sticks the holy paper on her. Mei is trapped and could not move. Wang sets fire to her again. At this moment, Wang's brother-in-law runs inside the burning studio to save her. Unfortunately, he died in the fire after helping Mei. Mei runs after Wang immediately. She warns Chawai that she shouldn't come to save Wang, because he will do the same thing if he thinks Chawai is not explorable anymore. Chawai, on the other hand, believes firmly in his husband. While Mei is attacking Wang, the Taoist comes and puts a spell on her. Mei's spirit disappears at the end. Wang is saved. The princess always has feelings for Wang. When the royal family is hunting in the forest, the princess directly tells Wang that she would love to be his wife if possible. Wang knows what position and fortune it will bring if he marries the princess. During Chawai's delivery, Wang orders the midwife to make this delivery a failure. Chawai died after giving birth. A few days later, Wang marries the princess. On their wedding night, two ghosts come and claim their lives. The end.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to hear more stories like this, subscribe to our channel. More shows are coming.